this invitation. My name is Keba Kamara. I work for Paradise FM and MediaMatic. Gambians are right now confused as to what's going to happen January 19th. The president gave a televised statement yesterday saying he wants Gambians to go back to the polls. And Honorable Adama Barrow and his team are saying they are going for the inaugurations. What's the position of the coalition on this right now?
We are aware that there is only one election result in this country. That is December 1st, the nation went on elections. December 2nd, the results came out. The president congratulated President-elect Barrow on his victory and promised to hand over the government this month in January. As much as we know that no subsequent election in this country, no election has taken place, there is no court of law which determines otherwise. The IEC is not, but before you go to election, there are processes. What we know is that January 19th, inshallah, His Excellency President-elect Adama Barrow is going to be inaugurated as the Gambia third president. That is what we are working on, that's what we are preparing. And we ask the whole nation to focus on that because that was what they voted for. That is what is happening now.
What is going to happen if His Excellency said his petition is sent to court and he has to wait for the verdict of the courts? What's going to happen then?
The law is very clear. Section 63 of the Constitution of the Gambia is clear. The beginning of the term of a new president starts on the day the outgoing president's term expires. His term is going to expire on January 19th. According to the constitution of this country, that is the same day that the term of office of incoming President-elect Adama Barrow begins. And that's what we are preparing for. He may have a petition, we are not aware of that, because we are not parties to any petition in any court of law in this country. As much as we know, having a case in a court of law does not nullify the election results. It does not prevent Honorable Adama Barrow from going to the polls. What we are saying is that those who are promoting that idea ought to go by the constitution of the land. If President-elect, if the outgoing president alleges that there will be no inauguration on the 19th, then he is violating the constitution of this country. And that is an impeachable offense. That is a very grave criminal offense. Violating constitutional provision, he cannot do. In effect, it's a coup d'etat, it's treason. And I'm sure, I don't think that is what he meant. I think I'd like to go to make an excuse for the outgoing president. He didn't mean that President-elect Barrow is not going to be inaugurated on January 19th. Okay. I don't believe he said that categorically by his mouth, because he knows legally he cannot say that. Okay. And assuming, without conceding, that he said such a thing, I'd advise him to go back and listen to his Ministry of Justice. They will tell him what the law is, okay, if he doesn't know the law.
Some people are even leaving the country. They seem Gambia is no more safe. If President Yahya Jammeh is saying there will be no inauguration, and Barrow is saying I'll be inaugurated on the 19th, any advice for people of the Gambia?
I think the people of this Gambia should not have any qualms about that. They shouldn't have any worries, no concerns. They shouldn't have any concerns because the people of this nation must be prepared to inaugurate President Barrow on the 19th. That is the state of affairs, that is the law, and that is what will happen. The Gambian people have spoken, the whole world is with us on that. We're in a very strong position. If people are running away as you claim that they are, that will be unfortunate because it means President Jammeh would not have cared for the welfare of this country. I do not want to believe that he will be president for 22 years and be willing to plunge this country into chaos. That is not the person he has projected himself to be. I believe at the end of the day, he will look at the larger interest of the nation and realize that his mandate was over. The Gambian people no longer want him, want a new leader. And I think he'll come down to his senses. If that was the case, the realization that he must give way for the new Gambia to breathe. He has no other choice and no better alternative than that. And I believe that is what will happen.
You are a seasoned lawyer. Tell us how petitions work. Sometimes they will say within 10 days that you should send your petition, sometimes otherwise. Do you think the APRC have the mandate to send a petition and say they want to task IEC for the elections not being fair? You think it's a constitutional mandate of the APRC?
It is not a mandate, but the constitutional right of any candidate who lost an election to file a petition with the relevant court. In the case of presidential elections, it is the Supreme Court. We want to uphold the right of the APRC to go to the Supreme Court if they feel the election was unfair, in the sense that if they feel there were grounds that should invalidate the result of that election. That is their constitutional right, and we will uphold that. We don't have any problems with that. What the law states very clear, that an election petition must be disposed of, must be determined, heard and determined within 30 days. Within 30 days.
Okay.
So it has to be heard within 30 days. Well, that is up to them. From the date that it was filed, 30 days. So they need to compute time to see whether they are within time, whether that can be possible within time or not. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is, we know that Supreme Court has not been empaneled in this country since May 2015. And you need a minimum of 5 judges, at least to hear and determine an election petition in the case of a presidential candidate. And we are not aware of a Supreme Court being empaneled. I read somewhere, say that they've appointed judges, but there are constitutional procedures before a judge can become a judge of the Supreme Court. First, you go into an appointment, which is the right of the president. We are not saying he cannot appoint judges. He can appoint judges, but they are not adequate judges in the Supreme Court. So he must appoint them first and foremost.
Okay.
Having appointed them, it has to be gazetted. I mean, there is no gazette. You cannot backdate a gazette. This country is very small. I mean, the appointment of Supreme Court judges has to be gazetted yet. And after you gazette the appointment, that also takes time. There is a limit, a constitutional limit as to when the gazette must run before it can mature. Then you have to swear them in.
Okay.
They have to come and they have to swear on oath. You have to swear them in. Then when they take their oath of office, subsequently they can sit on the bench.
Okay.
These procedures have not been exhausted yet. So the case proper cannot even begin.
Okay.
And we are talking about 30 days. And yet, Mr. Barrow is to be inaugurated in 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
It is impossible for you to have all these processes done to comply with the law within the 2 weeks period. And so it is practically, legally, constitutionally impossible to get this case done and completed with before January 19. It happened sometime in Ghana. The last election, not this one, the previous to that, the opposition, NPP, which is now in power, disputed the election of outgoing President John Mahama, which was of the NDC. And they went to court. It took almost a year in Ghana. At the end of the day, the Supreme Court determined that there were no grounds to invalidate the election. And John Mahama stayed. But even though the case was going on for 1 year, it didn't stop the swearing in of John Mahama, nor his government. That is the law. We are a Commonwealth country. That is the law of the Gambia as well. The same law applies here. So they can go to the Supreme Court and do whatever they want to do. It cannot stop, constitutionally and legally speaking, the inauguration of President Barrow. That is the state of constitutional law of this country. President Jammeh ought to know that. If he doesn't know, I'm giving him and his government free advice that his Minister of Justice, Mai Ahmad Fatty, they cannot dispute.
Any advice to the coalition supporters?
To remain peaceful, to remain calm, they have and disciplined, like they have always been from the date of the campaign up to victory. They have conducted themselves in the most admirable manner. And you want them to continue to remain that way and not to respond to any provocation of any sort, to remain the great citizens that they are, to remain vigilant, to protect their rights and to defend their votes, to defend the democracy, the new democracy of this country. This is their responsibility. And whatever it takes within the ambit of the law to defend their rights and to defend their new democracy, we advise them to do that. But everything within the law. But they must resist being provoked. And if they are provoked, not to respond to provocation.
So preparations are high for the inauguration of Adama Barrow.
I can assure you that. We are very busy. In fact, there is an inauguration committee that is meeting every day, very active. Looking forward, as the hours and the minutes and the seconds are ticking for the inauguration of our new president. We are working very hard on that. And so we are looking forward to that day when history again will be made in this country. When doors of new opportunities, a new dawn will arrive in this nation that will change the landscape for good. It is coming. It's a Jersey, and I invite all Gambians to look up to that, to get their asobis, you know, and they need to celebrate. You know, the Gambians must celebrate this victory of theirs. And, you know, I also let them be generous with our APRC brothers and sisters too. Because they are citizens, they have a right to support their candidate. And we can understand that, you know, they may be unhappy, but that's democracy. We have been unhappy for 22 years. We didn't cause war in this country. We remained peaceful. We didn't like election results. We condemned, we protested, but we accepted the will of the people to survive. We expect our fellow citizens who are APRC supporters also now, for the first time in the 22 years, to accept our victory, that their own leader, congratulations, was upon.
The cabinet is not yet revealed.
That is the prerogative of the president. I don't want to go there. It is not for me to say. The constitution of this land gives the president the exclusive prerogative to appoint his members of cabinet. That is an area which only he can exercise. And I don't want to go into that domain.
Thank you so much for coming, Mai Ahmad Fatty. And he is saying that on the 19th January, there will be inauguration. He is saying that the petition and the inauguration are two different things. We want to wish you good luck on the inauguration.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.